Hello my lovelies, it's Kat here and today we're going to be making this gorgeous burgundy cardigan. This is a medium size and I'm going to break it down into sections for you so it's going to be super easy for you to follow along. I'm going to make the waistband first, so all the way round from front to back and then front again, and then the rest of the body part will be all just linked double crochet coming up. Then I'm going to make 3 panels across the top, which will be this panel here, the back, and then this panel here, and then we're going to move on to the arms. You will need Utopia Crafts acrylic yarn perfect DK and a 5mm hook. First we are going to make a slip knot and chain 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. So I'm going to yarn over and pop my hook into this stitch here. Then I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's 1 half double crochet done, and we're going to do that 5 times all along the row. So we're going to do that 4 more times. Yarn over, go into this next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's 4, and then the last one, and this little one here, that's 5. So you've got your chain and you've got 1 row of half double crochet with 5 stitches. Now you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn, and then you're going to do exactly the same thing. So half double crochet in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. And you're only going to do that in the back loop. So this one here, you're going to yarn over and then go into this stitch here. But instead of going into the stitch underneath like we normally do, we're going to go, there's a bit of V on the top, and we're going to go into this, straight into the V and out of the back loop. Yarn over, pull through and pull up a loop. And then you can yarn over as usual and pull through all 3 of those. All right, and that's going to create a ribbed effect for our waistband. We're going to do that 4 more times. So it's exactly the same half double crochets as you've been doing before, but you're going into that back loop only. There is a pattern for this as well if you'd like to follow along with the pattern. We're going to carry on doing our half double crochets in the back loop only. And don't forget your chain 2 at the end. And there should be 5 stitches in each row. So I'll meet you back here. What I now have is 63 rows of this beautiful ribbed effect. And this is our waistband. So all I did was kind of just put it around my waist and see if it fit. And the next part we're going to do is we're going to crochet across the top of this, and then we're going to carry on working upwards to make the body of the cardigan. So what I'm going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do some linked double crochets. Now going across here, it's not an obvious line of stitches, so what I'm going to do is where these posts are, I'm going to do 1 linked double crochet in there, and then in the recess parts I'm going to do 2. So the reason I'm doing it like this is because you don't want it to be too gappy and you don't want it to be too full either. So the first linked double crochet, it's just like double crochet, but the middle parts are linked. So instead of yarning over like this, I'm going to just pop my hook through the middle part of that chain and then yarn over and pull through. So I have 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to go into the first kind of stitch I can see along the bottom there. Pull up another loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 and then yarn over and pull through the second 2. And that's our first linked double crochet stitch. We will be doing these all the way along. So we're going to grab the yarn, go through that, just that little stitch here in the middle of that double crochet you just did, yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to go into the bottom. I'm now coming to this kind of like peak here. Go through, pull up a loop, and you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the second 2. So now we have like the recess part has kind of like these 2 stitches here, and then this peak part, or this kind of prominent part, it has 1 double crochet, and that's what we're going to do all the way along. So we're going to go straight into the middle of that stitch, just here, yarn over and pull through, and then we're going to go into that part there, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. If you have any trouble with this, please leave me a comment below and I'll be delighted to help you. Now we have a little bit more of our recess left to go, so I'm going to go in, pull up a loop, and then we're going to go into this stitch and pull up a loop, and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So you can see how we're just link double crocheting all the way along, but it will be easier in the second row because you've got these stitches at the top. So you're just going to go into every stitch when you get to the second row. And we're going to carry on doing this for 20 rows. So I'll meet you back here when you have completed your 20 rows of linked double crochet. Amazing, now I've done my 20 rows to make up the body section. I'm now going to move on to panel 1, which is the front left top part. This is going to include a little decrease for your neckline. I'm going to start by chaining 3 and then making 24 linked double crochet stitches. Now we have our 24 linked double crochet stitches, and we have the chain at the end which counts as 1, so that's 25. And now what we're going to do is stop, we're not going to go anymore, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then turn, and then just linked double crochet all the way to the end. Just as you were doing before, but you've just turned a little bit earlier, and this is going to make up one of the front panels of your cardigan. So I'll meet you when you get to the end. So we're at the end again, and as you can see, we're making like a flap coming up here. And I'm going to do this for about 20 rows. This is going to be where your arm goes up here. So you're going to make it as high as you like. This is going to be kind of like from under the armpit to the top of the cardigan, and I'll meet you back here when you're done. When I get to the top of this side panel, I've got 12 rows, and when I get to the 12th row, I'm actually not going to crochet all the way across. I'm just going to do 13, and then I'm going to do another row turning back on myself of 13, and then this will be where our neck goes. And that is panel 1 complete. Now I'm joining the yarn at the 26th stitch, just beyond panel 1. And I'm going to chain 3 and then linked double crochet 49. So that makes up 50 stitches. And this will be the back of the cardigan. And I'm going to go up until I get right to the top of the 13 rows. I'm going to do 13 rows. On to panel 3. I'm going to join just as I did for panel 2. I'm sorry I didn't actually film that part. Then on the 12th row, I'm going to start my decrease. At this stage, I folded the 2 sides into the middle. Okay, so now I've got to this level, I'm going to slip stitch along however many stitches are here. You're going to slip stitch the same amount along here. So I have 11 stitches here. So I'm going to slip stitch the same, and then I'm going to chain 3 and then work the link double crochets until the end.
Promise not to use.
Now you should have something that looks a bit like a waistcoat. I'm going to join the front panels at the shoulders by slip stitching across each shoulder. Making the arms and cuffs. Now for the arms, we're going to be joining at the bottom another piece of yarn. So at the bottom of this armhole here, I'm going to flip it over so we're kind of at the back. Then I'm going to join a new piece of yarn at the bottom here, like that. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to start linked double crocheting in the round. So to start with, I'm going to just do a normal link double crochet stitch, and this is a little less obvious because we are going into this edge, these edge stitches, so we're kind of going to make our own way, but we want to make sure that there's about 40 stitches around, so not too close, because once you've done this first row you can build on that. You'll have a clear number of stitches. But to start with, you're just going to do 40 link double crochet all the way around, and then when you get back here, I'll meet you again and show you how to join and then do the other rows. Now we are back to the start. I have actually 44 stitches, but it actually doesn't really matter. I'm going to slip stitch into this first, the top of this chain of stitches here. So I'm going to get my hook, go through, yarn over and pull through. Now you will have kind of like big holes along this arm underneath, and we're going to sew those up later. So now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to start my decrease. So I'm going to do a link double crochet stitch into this next stitch here. And I'm going to do my decrease into these next 2 here. So I'm going to make these into 1 stitch. So I'm going to go through and pull up a loop like normal, go through the next one and pull up, and then go through the next one and pull up, and then I'm going to pull through 2, and then I'm going to pull through 3 loops, and that will make those 2 stitches go into 1. Then I'm going to carry on all the way around, and I'm going to do a decrease like that at the start of every other row. And I'm going to be decreasing every other row for about, well, as long as your arm. As long as your arm, or around 35 to 37 rows, but I'll let you know when I've done mine. And you should have a gap around this big. You're going to decrease it to around half of this. So you have 40 at the top and then 20 at the bottom for the arm. So I'll see you when you have finished your arm, and I'm going to come back to you when I've done about 35-ish rows, and we'll see where we are. I'm going to show you how to crochet your cuffs, and you're going to end up with something that looks a bit like this, and how to sew them on. You're going to need a tapestry needle and also some scissors. And disclaimer, this is not how everyone does their cuffs. I just do this because it's just an easy method really, and it's just half double crocheting in rows. So I'm just gonna do a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 7, make half double crochets all along this row, but I'm going to yarn over, go into the 3rd chain from the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 of these on your hook. And you should have 4 stitches left, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to half double crochet into all of these. So in total we are going to have 5 half double crochet stitches, and there's your first row for your cuffs. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn, and then we're going to do those half double crochets again for row 2, but we're going in this loop only. So we're going to yarn over again and go straight into that V at the top, through that back of the V, and then pull up a loop. And yarn over and pull through all 3 of those. Yarn over, go into that next V, yarn over and pull through all 3. So all the other rows are just like this, where you're going to chain 2 at the end, turn, and then you're going into this first V here. Alright, so now I have half double crocheted 17 rows, and that is enough to fit comfortably around my wrist, and it's going to fit nicely on the end of here. You don't want it to be bigger than the end of your sleeve. You want it to be a little bit smaller so it kind of goes down nicely into it, and then that can always be stretched out if you need to. So now what I'm going to do to close this up is to slip stitch. I'm just going to fold it in half and then slip stitch into each of these stitches. So I'm going to keep my loop on the hook and pop my hook through the other side when these are lined up. Now we can pull that through and make a slip stitch, and we have attached 1 stitch of both sides. And now we're going to do that all the way along. So I'm going to go into this next stitch, just the top of the stitch and the top of this next stitch here, and then grab the yarn and pull it through, and do that all the stitches along. And the last one is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to do that. And then you should have a nice neat little row like this, and it kind of looks a little bit like the ribbing in the rest of your half double crochet stitches. Now all that's left to do is to sew this on, and you're going to place it at the end of your arm like this, and I'm going to cut a length about 10 inches long, and then that will be enough to sew on. So I'm going to take this loop all the way out, and we're done with our hook for now. Now we're going to get this tail and put it on our needle, just like that. And all we're going to do is sew this on. I'm going to start at the bottom because this is the part where you're not going to see as much. So I'm going to put the tails of it at the bottom. So that's now kind of attached. So now I've gone all the way around and I've just popped the thread to the inside. You can either just tie a knot, or you can thread it along. If you have another end, you can tie them together and then tie a little knot, and then you'll be done. Making the button bands. So with the button band, all I've got to do is just slip stitch all the way up here, and then down again, up again, down again for a few rows until I'm going to make my buttonholes. Join, chain, and then I'm going to go in each stitch, slip stitch. Leave a little bit of room, don't make it too tight because your slip stitches go a little bit tighter than anything else. So up down until you're going to get to the kind of the middle bit of where your button's going to be, and then you can do the buttonholes. Let's not make the buttons any harder than they need to be. I have slip stitched a couple of times on the left side, which is where the buttonholes are going to go, and I've spaced out the buttons. There's going to be one at the bottom, one at the top, which we haven't done the neckline yet, it's going into there, and then the others are going to be spaced out evenly, fingers crossed, and they're going to be about 16 stitches apart, but you need to allow room for the actual buttonhole, which is going to be about 3 stitches, I think 3 or 4 stitches. So I'm just going to go from here and I'm going to go down 12 stitches, make a buttonhole, and then do another 12 stitches, make a buttonhole, and we'll see how that goes. What I've done is 12 slip stitches down here, then chain 3, and then join again. And I'm going to do another 12 stitches, another 12 stitches, another 12 stitches between buttons. And to make sure my buttons fit through nicely, I'm just going to put this through as a test, and that fits through a little bit snugly. That's what you want. There we go. So I'll meet you back here when you've got all the way to the end, and then I'm going to do a couple more rows of slip stitch and then we can cast off. So as you can see, I've now sewn on the buttons just opposite where the buttonholes were. So I took the middle of the buttonhole, that stitch, and mirrored on the other side, and then I just sewed through. I only needed to do like 2 on each button. And then the top button is going to be right here. So I'm going to make the buttonhole now, and it's going to be right at the top. I'm going to slip stitch all the way around, just like, so it's going to look like this, but around the top. I'm going to join in the stitch right here. Chain 1. And then I'm just going to slip stitch all the way around until I get to here. So I'll meet you back when you're just about to do your final buttonhole. All right, so now I've slip stitched all the way around and I'm going to make a buttonhole now. I'm going to do one more slip stitch here. One more here. And now I'm ready to do my chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go lay that flat. That's going to go into here for another slip stitch, and that can be a little bit tricky. There we go. See, I've made a buttonhole at the top there. Hello. So one more stitch here. Just slip into this one. Fantastic. Does the button go through? There we go, nice. Button goes through nicely. Now I'm going to chain 1 and slip stitch all the way around a few more times till it's probably as thick as this. So I'll meet you back here when you're done. Okay, so I have gone around the neck a couple of times and the buttonhole is nicely here on this side. So all I need to do now is put the button onto the other side, and then I'm going to cast this off, and then we're done. So there we have it. I absolutely love this cardigan so much. Such a pretty colour, and I love the buttons. There is another video where I make a super chunky cardigan, and if you want to see that one in action, then I will leave it here for you. I'll see you there.